Alright, this lesson kind of piggybacks off the previous tutorial, and we're still going to be finding the vertical and horizontal asymptotes, as well as the intercepts for this function. This is one like we haven't done before, where the degree of the top is the same as the degree of the bottom. So the degree on the top is 2, the degree on the bottom is 2. So remember, what that tells us is we're going to have a horizontal asymptote at y equals the coefficient of the highest power on the top over the coefficient of the highest power on the bottom. And again, that's y. That should be y equals 1/2. So in other words, the first coefficient on the top over the first coefficient on the bottom, if it's written in standard form, will give you your horizontal intercept of y equals 1/2. Now looking at the bottom to figure out our vertical asymptotes, what we're going to do is we have to factor that out, which would be 2 times x squared minus 4 if we factor it. And then that can be broken down into 2 times x plus 2 times x minus 2 as a difference of squares. So now we know that x cannot equal positive 2 or negative 2 because either of those would make this denominator a 0. So we have vertical asymptotes at x equals negative 2 and x equals positive 2. So there are my horizontal and vertical asymptotes. To find the intercept, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take f of 0 to get the y-intercept, and f of 0 is 0 squared minus 0 minus 12 over 2 times 0 squared minus 8. On the top, I get negative 12. On the bottom, I get negative 8. That's going to simplify to negative, or actually positive 3, or positive 4. Never mind, I was right the first time. Be positive 3 over 2. So that's how we find our y-intercept. So we have a y-intercept at y equals 3/2. And now to find our x-intercept, remember it's where the numerator equals 0. So we want to know where x squared minus x minus 12 is equal to 0. So we can factor that. And two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 4 would be x minus 4 and x plus 3. So that tells me I have an x-intercept at x equals positive 4, since that's what that factor would need to be a 0, and x equals negative 3. So those are my two x-intercepts. And finally, we just need to graph it and state its domain. So based on all of our information we found, the graph should look something like this. Notice that we did predict it to have x-intercepts at 4 and negative 3. And you can see that there as this one crosses at 4 and this one appears to cross at negative 3. And we also said a y-intercept of 3/2, which looks spot on. So finally, my domain, we have x such that x cannot equal, you see here, negative 3, and x cannot equal 4, and x is an element of the real numbers. So hopefully that kind of cements your understanding a little bit of the previous lesson. And now I'm going to have you try one on your own. So here is your practice question. You have got n of x equals 2x plus 5 over x minus 6. See if you can figure out those asymptotes and intercepts.